Hi everybody, welcome back to Dave's Garage. Dave's Garage 249. Changed the name and so it's easier to remember, so I changed it to Dave's Garage 249. So just type in Dave's Garage 249 and you will find all my videos, some 67 I think all totaled, and some of them are interesting, some of them maybe not so interesting. I think they're all interesting. Anyways, so we're working on the fuel line system for the 68 Chevelle, and I'm at a point where I thought I could show you guys some stuff. So here we go. So here's the almost finished temporary installation. This right here is the line for the fuel pressure gauge. You can see it's going to kind of follow the other lines up, and we've got the new lines in installed. I think the last time we kind of leak checked them, and so we're going to go ahead and finish this up, and I'll show you on the other side where we're at with the gauges. So over here on this side, you can see this is where I wanted to mount the gauges up under the cowl. That way they're kind of discreet. We don't clutter up the dashboard, cut up the inside of the car some more, and there's the back side of that little fuel pressure gauge with the mount. You can see there's a clamp on there that tightens up, and hopefully we won't have a leak up there. That kind of seals the deal, guarantees it. Now here's the dilemma, is these two lines come through here over the firewall down. One is going to go to the back side of the blower where there is a fitting, and I don't know if you can see the fitting in there. That's a flare fitting, and that's for boost, and then the other one goes over to the regulator where I mounted the fitting for the gauge. So I'll show you what it looks like from inside the car. Okay, from sitting in the driver's seat, this is what you're going to see. Is we'll be able to see the boost and the pressure gauge both glancing up. After setting the hood down, you can't anticipate every single little thing that comes up, especially when it's a kind of an already built car. But I noticed right away that hood's not sitting down, and I thought that there was plenty of room for those hoses, I got the light on there, to go in between that brace and the cowl. So we'll raise the hood back up and I'll show you what the options are, because I do have some options. So let's see if I can get some more light in here. This is the handy little light. No more incandescent bulb trouble lights for this guy. I like these rechargeable LED lights. Magnet sticks anywhere. It's super handy. So here's the deal: is that's the firewall, and really, the firewall, even the GM engineers designed this to be kind of the strongest part of the car. So there's there's many different things that you could do here to get those hoses down underneath this pinch spot. And it's not pinching real bad, but it's annoying. So there's a few options. One would be that you could cut this lip, cut a notch, and let these drop through, and that would keep the hoses lined up with this indent here. And if I can get the hoses in the indent, it doesn't pinch, but that's still not the greatest way to do it. Another option would be to go through the grate and maybe a couple holes in the firewall, which once again, we don't really want holes in the firewall. We don't want any more. And then there's a third option. That's where the wiper motor went, and there's a nice big hole there. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna mark on the grate where the hoses would pass through, and that will keep the hoses lined up where I want them, and then shoot down and come out that hole there. So that isn't really what I was originally thinking, but necessity is always the mother of invention sometimes. So that's what we'll do. So I'll get that hood down, marked up, and see, it won't be too hard to cut that out. So my initial markings were cut out as close to the base of the windshield as I can, and let this grate hold the hoses back out of the way. So I'm going to finish trimming this up. Just use a knife there. This is just plastic, and this is really an inexpensive part to replace if I wanted to. So, as opposed to a nice billet aluminum one, which I'd be freaking out if I was going to cut that open to do this. So that's what I'll do, is I'll get this trimmed out and pull the hoses back out. That's why I have not attached anything to the other end, so I could play with how I wanted to route things. So, all right, got the hoses routed. The grate is cut. You can see here they feed down through there. And the reason why I wanted to do it this way is because the way I had it before with the harder line, every time that I closed the hood, it twisted and turned the gauge pack. Now I've got it attached two places, self-locking nuts. Nothing's going to really move, and but I'll tell you, it was a challenge and a half to get all that up in there. Had to do some thinking. So let's close the hood now and see if we're still underneath that bar and pinching those hoses, and also holding the hood up. So just bear with me a minute. I'll just end the scene right here, and then I'll get the hood down and show you, because I don't think you guys want to watch all that stuff going on. Slack. Okay, sorry about the darkness. Everything seems to be happy now. It was just a matter of pulling a little bit more slack into those hoses, so as the hood goes up and down, it doesn't yank and pull on that. So I think we've got what we want. And what I'm going to do next is mark those hoses. So if we do go to car shows, we raise the hood and stuff, so I can always put things back the way I need to have them before I leave. So it's minimally invasive cutting is what I like. Alrighty, so here's the final connection for the fuel pressure gauge. It's going to right there, and then I just crimp that band, and that will tighten up around this barb. You can see by how easy it isn't that hard to pull apart. You see it's got a lip, and the hose slides on. It wasn't leaking the other day when we tested it, but this is just insurance. So I'll crimp that up, and this one's all set. Just need to do some hose separators and maybe some something to support the hose on the firewall, because I don't like things laying around like that, laying loose. Okay, that crimp has been made. And so the next thing is to terminate the other end of the hose on the fitting. And I guess I figured the amount of hose I was going to need, right? So we just need to, I won't be able to get the camera in here to see how this is done. Some of this is done by feel, but I've got a fitting that goes on that. Right here, straight barb hose. These things push on hard, let me tell you. They push on hard, so I'm going to have to fight it. I put high pressure assembly lube on it. Sometimes I use a heat gun and soften up the hose a little bit. And you want to get the hose seated into this collar here, the end of the hose. So you've got to cut it pretty square, otherwise you got a nasty looking end where this makes the installation look really nice and neat. All right, fitting is installed, and I think you can see right there is where the 8th pipe, it's a 45-degree flare fitting, and that comes out through this generous hole. And that's nice because we're going to talk about Pro Street here in a second too, and about cars and market values and things. I talked about doing that last time, and I have some thoughts and food for thought and experience, and I'm going to kind of share my thoughts and experiences about Pro Street. So in the meantime, this installation's done, and I think I'm happy with everything. I'm just going to tidy up and do some probably some retaining loops or something to hold that hose up on the firewall, maybe another pipe separator, just some details to make it look neat and tidy and sanitary and thought out. No more boost gauge turning on the hood on me, no more hose in the middle of the engine compartment. And I can also watch my fuel pressure now just by glancing in there and taking a quick look. So kind of important with a supercharged motor to know what's up with the fuel pressure every now and then. Okay, figured that out. So let's talk about Pro Street cars. Here's the thing about Pro Street. I think it's a little bit on its way out as far as value. I think I paid for this car 3 or 4 years ago, and it was in kind of rough condition. Bones are good, the paint's pretty good. Doing a paint job on a car is just materials now are getting into the $3,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for your base coats, clear coats, sealer, primer, all that stuff. After doing Rocky's car, that was enlightening. Eric Ehrman that owns CNR Restorations, I rebuild carburetors for him from time to time, and I'm a frequent visitor at his shop, and we go do things together. He's talking maybe if I wanted to repaint this car, maybe 10 grand. Just depends on how much work I do here myself first. So you're money ahead if you can find a good chassis, a TIG welded, a non-rusty car. This car was never rusty. It was cut out of a clean car, but it was probably like a 307 Malibu, when it was built. It was built about 22 or 23 years ago down in Ohio, and I know the guys that built it, and they are professionals. So you get things like decent tin work, bead rolls, stuff that looks nice, TIG welded, squared and straight. But one thing about back half in cars is it's hard to think through things like setting up your ride height and your pinion angle. What some guys do is they put the car up on a flatbed, their table or whatever they have, a couple I-beams leveled up in the garage work well, and then they set their tires in and they set the body, they cut everything out, and then they set the body down and they kind of establish the way they want the car to look, which probably okay, because not all these cars are drag cars, but it's nice to have confidence that you know, you're not going to rocket off the racetrack into a guardrail or have something crazy like you see these videos with these Mustang guys coming out and laying on it and their tires aren't straight and they cut a big donut and slide off into somebody else's car. That kind, you know, we don't want to go there with that kind of embarrassment. So I just don't do that crap when I leave a car show unless I can really see what the setup is. But back to the values. I think that the best value though is don't, or let's just say, throw caution in the wind if you buy a race car that has a title, and that means, you know, the electronics are in the passenger seat. There's a delay box in the thing, air shifter, all these things that are pretty much drag race only, but the car comes with a title. And where the VIN number does matter because when you're bringing these things in from out of state, and I'm speaking from experience and I've managed to get out of it, but it's not fun and I'm not going to let it happen again, and that's those VIN tags need to be unaltered and they need to be in the original location. The reason for that is because most states now, Indiana for sure, and maybe you don't have a state where you have this problem, but if you bring a car in from out of state, they're going to inspect the title, they're going to inspect the tags, they're going to inspect the car before you get title. And so if they think that the title, or if they think anything's been altered to start with, they're not going to inspect the car. If they're going to run the numbers and make sure that the car is not stolen, that's fair enough. But still, they have the option of saying, hey, you know, the hollow rivets aren't there on the VIN number tag, and we think this has been altered, and then you have to like show them maybe, you know, where it's stamped elsewhere on the chassis, where it's stamped elsewhere on the body panel. So you need to know those things, and they're not there to crawl all around your car and get underneath it and lay underneath it. They're just there to do a quick assessment to make sure that the thing hasn't been stolen, and then they sign off on it. And worse yet is if you take it to the BMV or your Department of Motor Vehicles and have that issue, and those people don't want to waste their time. They have what, 900 people sitting in there wanting you know, the number system and all that jazz, and who likes to go to the BMV anyways? So have your ducks in a row before you go there, and make sure that you've got a car that there's not going to be much argument over transferring the title from state to state. Another thing too is, like, what I like about this car is it has a stock dash, it has stock door panels, it has stock seats. There's drawbacks to stock seats. When you rip a nail on this thing, it sets you back in the seat and the belts loosen up. That's not the safest thing in the world. Plus, you know, you can kind of feel your feet coming off the pedals. You're moving away from the steering wheel. So good racing seats, you know, you're planted in there and you're tied in, you're not going anywhere. So there's that aspect of it, but the stock appearing interior looks better. Windows roll up and down, vent wings work. The ventilation system still works. I have the option of, that's going to be a project this summer, or this winter actually, is get all the dash lights working again, and I can probably get the speedometer to work in the car. I just use my app on my phone. I just put the app on. I already know this car will run the as is, kind of in the 1070-ish range, somewhere plus or minus on the street. So I figure 1050s, 1030s, something like that, if I put on slicks and dare to stand on it. Don't know about braking, but oh well. Had 11-inch rotors on the front, but I want to drop spindles, so now they're 10-inch rotors. But I got 4-puck Wildwoods on the back, so it'll probably be okay. It's manual braking, so it's probably going to excite you if you go with the full quarter mile. But most tracks now are going 1/8 mile, so I don't know. 1/8 mile is no big deal. You can pretty much just, you know, if you're around 100, 110 mile an hour in the 1/8, you can probably just let off the gas and coast down to the other end of the track. If it's like US 131, it's a quarter mile track, so they don't have a turn off early, but at least ways not last time I was there. Maybe they've changed that. So value wise, I think Pro Street should be just that, Pro Street, street car. You know, you can have radio in it, have some amenities, have, you know, not all tin interior, no, you know, steering wheel has to be removed to get in and out, funny car cage. You know, if I'm drag racing 8-9 second car, yeah, I want a funny car cage, but driving on the street, no, you can't see, you can't turn your head, you can't see what's coming. It's a hazard to drive on the street, and I get asked already about, you know, seeing over that supercharger and that cowl hood. I get asked a lot, and yeah, it's, you know, you got to kind of look around a little bit. That's part of the treat of driving one of those things. So I guess race car with title, you know, you better be going drag racing a lot, I guess, to make that worthwhile. Stay away from that kind of thing. And another thing too, that, you know, when you, just like with this car, when you buy an old Pro Street car, a lot of these guys have them for sale, 25, 30,000, 35,000. Hopefully that's the going rate, but one thing that you can see is, you can see that they probably had the car for a good number of years, and it's probably at the point where they need to start thinking about, you know, overhauling the engine, rebuilding the transmission, those double action adjustable gas shocks that are on the back, the good strange ones, and Penske's and all these good shocks are probably about worn out, and they're $600 or so or more. Not up on the latest, but I'm pretty sure when I replaced the ones on this car, they were $600 or $700 for the pair, and they're not real super. They're just strange engineering, They're good shocks, but double adjustables. I got double adjustables on the front. I had to replace the front springs. I had to replace the front shocks. Basically, you're going to be looking at, you're probably going to be doing some work to the car, and also updates. And now I don't mind, because I like to build, and if it was up to me, I'd have the other bay over there. I'd be building another Pro Street or a drag car, or maybe it's a nostalgia gasser. I like building model cars. I like building everything. I like building model planes. I like building radio controlled airplanes. I like building everything. I like building cabinets and furniture and woodworking and the whole thing. I just like doing all. That's just the way I'm wired. So what we'll do on the next thing on this car is we need to run it. I need a good day where I can get the garage door open, and before I change the carb, we'll just run this whole fuel system and verify that things are still working. I'm pretty lucky that most of the time when something goes wrong, it goes wrong here in the garage rather than at a car show or out driving, and leaves me stranded on the side of the road. So, but I tend to check things over pretty thoroughly, and I would advise you to do the same. So with that, I want to say thank you for subscribing. We picked up several. It's kind of fun to do these videos. I like to talk. Everybody knows me that knows that. And I like to show and tell. I do have a lot of experience and knowledge. Not celebrated by any means, but it's more grassroots. This isn't a big TV show, fancy garage, $300,000, $500,000 budget on car. This is a regular guy, retired, fixed income, did okay. No big, huge money here. Just a normal, average guy that feels lucky to be able to have these cars and do these things in retirement. My health is good. and I'm trying to keep it that way. Last year this time I was struggling through knee replacement on left knee. In March I did right knee and lost 50 pounds doing it. And I go to the gym at least 3 times a week and trying to keep the weight down and keep in shape. And it'll pay someday, I'm sure. And I don't want my last thought to be, wish I would have been in better shape. Maybe this wouldn't have happened. I'm hoping I can avoid that. So with all that blah, 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 I just want to once again thank you for watching and suffering through. I think there's a spot there where I didn't get the camera turned off and there's quite a few seconds of blank, and hope you suffered through that and saw what came out on the other side, because I just use my smartphone for these videos at this point in time. So thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.